Hey y'all, welcome to Millennials in Charge, where we're unpacking the adult experience, one honest conversation at a time. Today, we're going to talk about something we don't talk about enough, which is meeting ourselves where we are. You know, it's easy to meet others where they are and show them grace and patience and understanding, but it's very hard to extend that same grace to yourself, whether we're talking about your careers, your relationships, personal goals, or even just daily routine. I think we measure ourselves against where we think we should be rather than acknowledging where we are. So today we're going to unload that baggage and unpack right here and just figure out how do we embrace our present selves while we strive for ambition. We're going to talk about what does it look like to balance self-compassion with growth. And most importantly, how do we stop being our own worst critic? So I think the first thing we have to do is acknowledge the elephant in the room, which is the struggle to accept where we are. I don't think we spend enough time in the present in realizing that this present moment is exactly what you prayed for. We're too busy on to the next. We're too busy stuck in that should mentality. I should be making more money. I should have a husband or wife. I should have kids. I should have a house. I should have a car or two cars. I should have a dog. I should be able to take 2, 3 family vacations instead of accepting that maybe you don't make 6 figures, but you're right where you need to be, and realize that we're running our own race. This should mentality really just puts unnecessary pressure and creates self-doubt. You know, our forever first lady, Mrs. Michelle Obama, she had a quote in her book, Becoming, where she said, failure is a feeling long before it becomes an actual result. And I think that's so true. I think before we actually fail, we think ourselves into it, we talk ourselves into it, and then we go to do it, and then we go, see, we failed. I think we have to realize that there's power not only in our tongue, but in our thoughts, the way we talk to ourselves. I think you have to kind of realize that even if it's not out loud, the way you talk to yourself, even in your head when no one can hear you, is important. It's also important to realize that success, growth, healing is not linear. I think anyone who's been successful, who has grown in some shape, form, or fashion, or healed from, childhood trauma or even adulthood trauma, it has not been just a 1, 2, 3, and we're finished. It's definitely a marathon and not a sprint. It takes steps. It takes doing the work. And that's the only way that you can grow and succeed and heal. I can't tell you how many times I've restarted my fitness journey. And, I have social media, I'm on IG, and you see these different fitness plans, or this person who has meal plan and this fitness plan. And I'm just like, oh, if she could do it. But what I realized is that none of those people look like me. They may have done it, but they don't look like me. And I think we have to start running our own race and realizing that we are not in competition with everyone else. We are in competition with ourselves. When you start competing with yourself, trying to outdo yourself, that is when you really see that growth. You keep competing to outdo yourself. There is no other Lex the millennial. There's no other one. There's other Lexes in the world. There is no other Lex the millennial. That is me, and I realized that there is something that I bring to the table that no one else does. And I think you have to realize that there's something that you bring to the table that no one else does. Realize that Social media is a highlight reel. And that highlight reel can, yes, make you feel behind, but that's not what it's there for. I think, if anything, it should be there to motivate you. Like, it can be done. And you go from they can do it to I can do it. Let's switch gears a little bit. Let's talk about, what does it mean to meet yourself where you are? I think it sounds good, but it's very hard to. It's easy. It's easier said than done, and it's definitely easier from the outside looking in. When you're inside looking out, it's hard to really grasp that concept of, okay, how do I meet myself where I am? I think first you have to take inventory of where you are. And meeting yourself where you are does not mean settling. It means acknowledging where you are so that you can move forward effectively. If you're struggling with motivation, you shouldn't be ashamed of that. You should just identify why you're struggling and then adjust. We need to start using self-compassion as a tool for growth. We need to realize that grace and accountability can coexist. They just can. Giving yourself grace, allowing yourself to be imperfect is fine. And you can still hold yourself accountable. Ways you can do that is to, one, work on being self-aware. You can do this through journaling, therapy. I'm a big advocate for therapy. Black people, please go to therapy. Hear me out. I go to therapy every month just for maintenance, because I need that impartial view or soundboard that my friends, my family, and even my spouse can't give me. And that's not to say I don't talk to those people, but I go to therapy so that I can gain tools for my toolbox, so that I learn to work through things efficiently. So first, please go to therapy. I'm going to say it again. Please go to therapy. Even if you feel like you don't need it, you'd be surprised. Just go. Step number 2 is, for meeting yourself where you are, you need to let go of unrealistic timelines. Be able to adjust based on your journey, not someone else's. Adjusting is not settling. Adjusting in business is called pivoting. So I think we need to learn to pivot within our lives. Is how, when, plan A didn't work out, how do we adjust? We don't just give up on plan A. We make plan A 2.0 or plan B, however you want to label it. But we don't just give up. We pivot. I like pivot. I think we're going to use pivot. We pivot. So you have to learn to pivot from that initial timeline. If something doesn't work out, you still are working towards the end result. The steps to get there may just change a little bit or switch, and that's okay. Step number 3, I think we need to start reframing negative thoughts. Turn "I'm so behind" to "I'm taking my own path," or "I'm right where I need to be," or progress over perfection. I think that's important. Progress over perfection. I even have it written on my mirror. Literally daily progress, not perfection. Perfection will drive you crazy. So you literally have to just strive to progress in some form. It can be the smallest form. That leads me to number 4. We have to start celebrating the small wins, right? Acknowledge the progress, even when it's small. If you had on your to-do list to go to the gym 3 times a week, but let's say you went on Monday, by Tuesday you didn't feel well, so you didn't go on Wednesday, and then you still were feeling bad, so you didn't go on Friday, but then you felt well enough on Saturday to go. You didn't go 3 times, but you had to pivot and fight through a cold. but you did manage to make it to the gym twice that week, despite having a cold. So I think we really just have to celebrate those small wins, find the victory in those small wins, because if you don't, you won't be able to really appreciate those big victories. And to some, that might sound crazy, but when you think about it, like if you can't manage when you don't have a lot of money, contrary to your popular belief, you won't be able to manage when you have millions of dollars. You'll be like, oh, if I had $1 million, I could do this, this, and this. That's not true. If you can't properly manage small money, you can't properly manage big money. So I think if you can't properly manage those small wins, you won't know what to do, and you might just miss your moment with those big wins. So let's start acknowledging those small wins. When we start to acknowledge those small wins, I think we can start looking at how we move forward from where we are. Set intentional and realistic goals. The power of micro goals instead of long-term goals is amazing. Instead of, I just need a new job, maybe start with, I'm going to at least research one job or one new opportunity a week, right? Because if you keep researching and maybe even applying and putting yourself out there, that new job will come and you won't even realize that you took that process and you made that progress and you found that new job you were looking for. I think we have to learn to hold ourselves accountable without feeling ashamed. It's possible to check in with yourself without guilt tripping yourself. Again, maybe you didn't go to the gym 3 times, but you made it 2, and that's okay. Next week, we're still going for that 3 times a week. So I think when you do miss a goal or a mark, just try to look at what was your why for missing that goal that week. And then just work at alleviating that. Another way we can hold ourselves accountable is to surround yourself with people who remind you that you are enough. You are enough. Who you are today, right now, in this moment, is enough to make it to your future self. I think that's the biggest thing I had to teach myself. Even with podcasting, like, I am enough. Lex the Millennial is enough. What I'm striving to do is to have real and honest conversations that I feel like we don't have. Social media is again, a highlight reel showing you so many things, but we're not honestly talking about those day-to-day battles that we're fighting alone or that we feel like we're fighting alone sometimes. Find people who make you feel like you are enough. And in that same vein, you have to realize that you are enough. You do. You have to realize you are enough. You are bringing what you need to the table, and you will acquire the rest as you go. Surround yourself with a good support system, and also don't be afraid to ask for help. I'm guilty of that. I probably still don't like asking for help, but I realize that I get way further with asking for help than I do without it. So, seek out help, whether that's mentors, coaches, therapists, or good friends. Shout out to the therapist. I do suggest y'all get one, but seek out help because God didn't put us here to be alone. We are supposed to be a community. We're supposed to rally behind each other. We are supposed to help each other. I think too often there's a lot of competition or not enough reaching back for the other person and helping them up. And we need to change that. Seek help. Ask somebody for help. If somebody asks you for help, don't gatekeep. Don't gatekeep. Don't be afraid to tell them, because again, we go back to you are enough. We go back to you are in competition with you. You can't be replicated. You cannot be replicated. So don't be afraid to give help. I think we're doing too much gatekeeping. We're not giving out the sauce. Give out the sauce, sis. Give out the sauce, bro. Because at the end of the day, there's only one you, and you need to reach back and help someone else. That's that's the that's the way we all make it. And that's the best progress and the best success. Well, I want to leave you with this. You are exactly where you are supposed to be in this season of your life. That doesn't mean you don't have room to grow. It means that growth starts with acceptance. The acceptance that you are enough, you are where you're supposed to be, the acceptance that you have the room to grow. This week, I challenge you to think about what is one way that you can meet yourself where you are today. Feel free to share it on social media. Tag me, Lex the Millennial, or tag Millennials in Charge with the hashtag meeting myself, and let me know one way you are meeting yourself this week, just where you are. I want to thank you guys for tuning in to Millennials in Charge. Remember to subscribe, leave a review, and share the podcast. I'll see y'all next time. Don't forget to catch Millennials in Charge every Wednesday at 6 a.m. Eastern. You can tune in on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, Amazon, or wherever you get your podcasts. See y'all next week.